After returning to the Alliance star system, Wong Lin, with his white hair and calm expression, slowly walked through the familiar yet unfamiliar star field. Although he had left the Alliance as an ascendant cultivator, he had now returned as a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. Looking ahead, he silently declared that he had returned to face All-Seer and Ling Tianao. He still carefully kept the key to the cave in the Demon Spirit Land. Back when he had lived in the Alliance, the strongest forces he knew were only rank 7 cultivation countries. But now even the powerful old monsters of the All-Heaven star system had taken notice of him. Although he possessed the strength to shake the Alliance, he understood that the Alliance star system was far more dangerous than All-Heaven. The hidden experts there were extremely cunning, and even cultivators of his own level could easily fall into deadly schemes. He decided to remain cautious during the war between the Alliance and All-Heaven star systems and observe the situation instead of becoming involved. After contacting his original body and confirming each other's locations, Wong Lin searched with his divine sense until he found an abandoned cultivation planet. Using the world's power, he instantly appeared on the desolate planet, where spiritual energy was weak but life flourished everywhere. Remembering that Shang Yundong had said Li Muwan could only be saved with enormous life force, Wong Lin recalled sacrificing most of his own lifespan through the Qi Shi spell to restore her body. Although she had not yet revived, her body had recovered, giving him hope. Chang Shui had secretly given him a rune that concealed his nearly exhausted lifespan. As long as the rune remained, Wong Lin appeared unchanged except for his white hair. But once it was removed, his true state as an ancient man with nearly depleted life force would be revealed. Feeling the increasingly powerful call of the heavenly reincarnation cycle, Wong Lin remained completely calm. After sitting on the ground, Ta Shan emerged from his shadow and silently guarded him against any danger. Wong Lin raised his right hand and gathered black light on his index finger, preparing the finger of death. Although he had abandoned perfecting this spell after witnessing the third step, Shang Yundong's words made him realize that it could restore his lost lifespan by devouring the vitality of all living things. Wong Lin pressed his finger onto the ground, causing black light to spread rapidly across a radius of 500 kilometers. Every towering tree, blade of grass, and living plant within the area instantly withered, crumbled, and vanished, their life force transformed into streams of white gas that converged upon Wong Lin. Surrounded by the dense white gas, Wong Lin inhaled deeply, drawing all of it into his body, where it transformed into life force and replenished the lifespan he had sacrificed. The bloody rune floated several inches from his chest while still concealing his condition. After half an hour, all the white gas had been absorbed, leaving the entire 500-kilometer region barren and lifeless while everything beyond remained completely unaffected. Creating a sharp contrast, Wong Lin sneered as he realized that the Shang family ancestor had likely used a similar life-devouring technique. He vowed that one day he would reclaim every bit of life force that had been taken from him. Since he too possessed the power to devour vitality, he expanded the finger of death again, increasing its range from 1.000 kilometers to 5.000 kilometers. Countless plants withered, trees collapsed, and even powerful demonic beasts died instantly as their life force transformed into white gas and poured into Wong Lin. The endless vitality formed a massive storm centered on him. As more life force entered his body, the bloody rune floated farther away until it reached 10 inches from his chest. Wong Lin then grabbed the rune with his left hand and tore it away. The moment the rune disappeared, his concealed condition was exposed, and he instantly became a withered old man surrounded by death aura. However, the enormous life force he had gathered immediately flooded into his body. Reversing the decay, his aged body rapidly regained vitality and youth as his lost lifespan was restored. Meanwhile, in the western region of the Alliance star system near the border with the southern region, a half-abandoned cultivation planet known as Planet Suzaku remained on high alert because of the ongoing war. Numerous nascent soul cultivators rode flying swords around the planet, patrolling with grim expressions and overwhelming killing intent despite their anxiety. An elderly woman named Bai Shui emerged from the planet. Though wrinkled with age, traces of her former beauty remained. She instructed the patrolling cultivators to remain vigilant and immediately report anything unusual, reminding them that Planet Suzaku stood dangerously close to the All-Heaven cultivators and faced a struggle for survival. Before she could continue, Bai Shui's expression suddenly changed. She stared into the distant stars, where hundreds of cultivators were rapidly approaching planet Suzaku on sword lights. At their head flew a big-headed boy wearing a foolish smile as he led the invading force toward the planet. After spotting the half-abandoned cultivation planet from afar, the big-headed celestial messenger recognized it as a rank 6 cultivation planet. With his cultivation and the hundreds of cultivators under his command, such a planet was insignificant. He was only passing through while leading the first scouting force into the southern region of the Alliance star system. As they approached, the old woman Bai Shui and the other cultivators guarding planet Suzaku immediately returned to the planet to prepare for defense. Seeing this, the big-headed boy and the All-Heaven star system cultivators laughed contemptuously. Believing the planet was so weak that any illusory yin cultivator could wipe it out alone, two middle-aged brothers at the peak of the late ascendant stage requested permission to attack. They confidently claimed they would exterminate all cultivators on the planet within 7 minutes instead of the 15 minutes granted by the celestial messenger. Receiving approval, they rushed toward planet Suzaku like meteors. On Mount Suzaku, Zhou Wutai stood at the summit with a floating sword before him. His expression resolute as powerful aura spread from his body. Numerous cultivators gathered silently behind him. Among them was Bai Shui, who had returned to defend her homeland as the elder of the Immortals Path sect. Also present was Wang Lin, the former sect leader of the Heng Yu sect, standing near the back despite his celestial bearing, concealing amusement beneath his serious expression. Zhou Wutai declared that after Wong Lin entrusted him with the Suzaku title, he had vowed to live and die with planet Suzaku. Even if he perished, he would never retreat. Behind him stood two ascendant elders who understood this was not merely a battle but a war between two star systems. Having received intelligence from the Cultivation Alliance, they had made preparations but still expected death. Elsewhere, Yun Quezi emerged from hundreds of years of secluded cultivation. Now much older, with the tattoo on his forehead glowing, he stepped into the sky as members of the Forsaken Immortal clan gathered behind him with solemn expressions. Other reclusive cultivators also emerged as the overwhelming pressure descended upon the planet like collapsing mountains. Within the Cloud Sky sect, the elderly Tai Yan, whose lifespan was nearly exhausted, struggled to stand in the sect square and silently gazed at the approaching catastrophe. Across planet Suzaku, every cultivator, from rank 5 to rank 3 sects, looked toward the sky as the two incoming meteors signaled disaster. The two All-Heaven brothers arrived laughing arrogantly. As peak late ascendant cultivators working together, they considered themselves unmatched on such a weak cultivation planet. One mocked the Alliance star system for treating such a worthless planet as valuable and released his divine sense across the entire world. As his divine sense swept over the Cloud Sky sect, his body suddenly trembled as though struck by countless bolts of lightning. His face filled with disbelief and overwhelming terror. His brother quickly scanned the same location and reacted with even greater fear. At the entrance of the Cloud Sky sect stood a lifelike statue of Wong Lin, perfectly reproducing his appearance and his cold, piercing gaze. Recognizing the statue, both brothers instantly identified it as Master Demon Shu Mu. Terror overwhelmed them. Shu Mu's name was legendary throughout the All-Heaven star system. He had become the Thunder Celestial during the Celestial title competition, commanded 3,000 cultivators, was Celestial Lord Qing Shui's junior brother, the foremost expert among the younger generation of All-Heaven cultivators, the benefactor of countless cultivation families, and the person who had inflicted devastating losses upon the Yao family. Even the Celestial Messenger would show him respect. Their arrogance and killing intent vanished completely. Without daring to investigate why Shu Mu's statue was worshipped on planet Suzaku, they immediately fled in panic. They knew offending Shu Mu meant certain death and bitterly regretted ever coming to the planet. Their sudden retreat stunned every cultivator on planet Suzaku. Zhou Wutai, who had prepared for a desperate battle, was completely bewildered. The Forsaken Immortal clan was equally shocked. Yun Quezi quickly realized that the brothers had fled immediately after their divine senses reached the Cloud Sky sect. Curious about what could frighten two peak late ascendant cultivators so completely, he extended his own divine sense toward the sect. When Yun Quezi discovered Wong Lin's statue, his eyes widened in disbelief. Zhou Wutai and the other experienced cultivators also deduced the connection and focused their divine senses on the Cloud Sky sect. Tai Yan looked at the statue with excitement and muttered that it had to be his benefactor. Meanwhile, the terrified brothers rushed back to the big-headed celestial messenger and the waiting all-heaven cultivators. The big-headed boy opened his eyes, frowned slightly, and calmly asked what had happened. After absorbing all the vitality within 50.000 kilometers of an abandoned planet, Wong Lin restored his appearance and recovered his life force. The land became cracked and lifeless after all its vitality was devoured. Opening his eyes filled with lightning, he realized that relying on the finger of death to restore life force had drawbacks. After pondering briefly, he stepped away from the abandoned planet while Ta Shan merged back into his shadow. Using spatial ripples, Wong Lin headed toward planet Suzaku. Outside planet Suzaku, the big-headed celestial messenger questioned the two all-heaven cultivators who had returned without carrying out his order to slaughter the planet. When they tried to explain that they had seen a statue, he angrily interrupted them, saying he had ordered them to massacre the planet, not admire a statue. One cultivator insisted that the celestial messenger should personally see the statue to understand why they had retreated. Curious despite his irritation, the big-headed boy decided to investigate. Although he normally never descended onto a half-abandoned rank 6 cultivation planet and only considered rank 7 planets worthy of his attention, he wanted to know what had frightened two peak late-stage ascendant cultivators. Having reached the early stage of Nirvana Scryer after entering the celestial pool, he had lost his domain but gained a celestial origin and had become highly confident after experiencing the power of celestial spells. Without landing, he spread his divine sense across planet Suzaku. The overwhelming pressure formed a terrifying storm that swept over the entire planet. Mountains collapsed, rivers boiled, and black clouds formed as the divine sense transformed into thunder covering every corner of the world, making it appear as though the apocalypse had arrived. Ascendant cultivators trembled as their origin souls nearly collapsed. Soul transformation cultivators coughed blood. Core formation cultivators found cracks appearing on their cores. Foundation establishment and chi condensation cultivators burst into blood mist and fell unconscious. While every mortal on the planet fainted under the terrifying pressure, the entire planet fell into complete silence. The celestial messenger intentionally spared the mortals, for otherwise a single sweep of his divine sense would have exterminated all life. Only a few powerful cultivators continued resisting. Zhou Wutai awakened the dragon bloodline inherited from the cultivation planet Crystal. Covering himself in green dragon scales as a 1,000-foot green dragon appeared in the sky and roared in defiance. Yun Kwezi activated the golden tattoos covering his body as the shadow of a towering divine tree emerged behind him. Under the immense pressure, he even approached a breakthrough. But a mysterious instinct deep within his soul compelled him to submit. A cold snort from the celestial messenger shattered the illusion. Yun Kwezi coughed blood. All his tattoos collapsed, and he realized the urge to surrender came from an instinct beyond his control. The big-headed boy calmly descended with his hands behind his back, the wind reversing direction before reaching him. Looking down on the planet, he declared that it was a wasted cultivation planet filled with useless people and casually decided to wipe them out. He gathered dense celestial spiritual energy into his finger and released a golden celestial spell. The beam pierced the guardian green dragon formed by Zhou Wutai, causing it to collapse with an unwilling roar. Zhou Wutai coughed blood but still retained his fighting spirit. While searching for the mysterious statue with his divine sense, the big-headed boy finally discovered it within the cloud sky sect. The instant he saw Wong Lin's statue, he gasped in horror and instinctively retreated. He immediately recognized it as Xu Mu, the terrifying cultivator who had once killed him effortlessly in one line to heaven with an overwhelming thunder spell. Even after entering the celestial pool, he had never dared to provoke Xu Mu again. Every memory of that battle filled him with fear. He teleported directly above the cloud sky sect and carefully examined the statue. The longer he looked, the more certain he became that it truly depicted Xu Mu, having personally died at Wong Lin's hands. Xu Mu's appearance was permanently engraved into his memory. He finally understood why the two all-heaven cultivators had fled in terror. Tai Yan sat beneath the statue, silently watching. Yun Kwezi noticed the celestial messenger's horrified expression and was deeply shocked, wondering whether Wong Lin truly possessed an identity that even these terrifying invaders feared. Zhou Wutai, despite his severe injuries, remained determined to fulfill his promise to Wong Lin and defend planet Suzaku to the death. Although terrified, the big-headed boy gradually realized the statue appeared to have existed for hundreds of years. He concluded that Shu Mu must not belong to the All-Heaven star system but instead originated from the Alliance star system. Believing he had uncovered a tremendous secret that could destroy Shu Mu's reputation or even cost him his life. He became ecstatic, laughing wildly. He stepped beside the statue and raised his hand to destroy it. Intending to vent his long-suppressed fear and resentment, Tai Yan looked directly at him despite blood flowing from his mouth and calmly warned that if he destroyed the benefactor's statue, he would undoubtedly die. The big-headed boy sneered, saying that not only would he destroy the statue, but even if Shu Mu personally appeared, he would not care. As he prepared to strike, a voice colder than eternal ice suddenly echoed throughout planet Suzaku. Say that again. The familiar voice instantly terrified the big-headed boy. His face turned pale as he recognized Shu Mu's voice. Without any hesitation, he abandoned all thoughts of fighting, retreated frantically, coughed blood, and immediately used a blood escape technique despite the damage it would cause to his cultivation. Ever since One Line to Heaven, his fear of Shu Mu had become instinctive. Tai Yan looked toward the figure emerging from spatial ripples beside the statue with overwhelming excitement. Tears flowing from his eyes as he called out, "Benefactor!" Yun Quezi gasped in shock and shouted Wong Lin's name. Zhou Wutai was equally astonished and overjoyed. All the awakened cultivators on planet Suzaku recognized the returning Wong Lin, the true ancestor of planet Suzaku. Looking at the fleeing celestial messenger with monstrous killing intent in his eyes, Wong Lin coldly declared, "You can't escape." Then he took a step forward to pursue him. The big-headed boy was horrified, coughed blood, and activated a silent blood escape technique that was several times faster than lightning, instantly fleeing far away from planet Suzaku. However, Wong Lin stepped forward, merged with the world through ripples, and appeared directly in front of him, moving even faster than the blood escape. Yin and Yang fishes appeared in Wong Lin's right hand as he struck forward with his palm. Although the attack hit empty space, it carried his Tao and origin energy, shaking heaven and earth. The blood light protecting the big-headed boy instantly collapsed. White and black gas emerged from Wong Lin's attack. The white gas mysteriously entered the boy's body through the void, reaching his origin soul and causing his celestial origin energy to collapse. The black gas then surrounded him, rapidly draining his life force and withering his body. His spell was destroyed, and an invisible force slammed into him, sending him crashing toward the ground like a meteor. The awakened cultivators of planet Suzaku witnessed the scene and became excited. More and more cultivators gathered to watch the battle, including Zhou Wutai and Yun Quezi. In a nearby mortal city, an injured white-haired old man secretly observed the battle through his divine sense from a hidden chamber containing a portrait of Wang Zhou, the Wang clan ancestor, and his ancestral token. The big-headed boy finally stopped his fall after dropping thousands of feet by frantically circulating celestial origin energy. Laughing, he counterattacked by forming the celestial spell, Spirit Destruction Net, creating a gigantic net over 1,000 feet wide that rushed toward Wong Lin. Wong Lin calmly continued forward, disappeared through ripples beneath his feet, and avoided the attack. The big-headed boy became increasingly terrified, realizing Wong Lin's movement technique had surpassed even his family's blood escape, which had saved his life countless times. As Wong Lin reappeared, white gas burst from the boy's body into a violent storm. Wong Lin formed a sword with his fingers, fused dozens of heavenly chops into one strike, and smashed directly into the vortex of celestial origin energy. The big-headed boy retreated in panic, fearing Wong Lin's strange techniques even more because Wong Lin had not yet used the terrifying thunder spell he remembered. Filled with anxiety, he shouted that he had not killed anyone on Suzaku and begged Wong Lin to stop forcing him. Wong Lin paused, and the big-headed boy immediately claimed they were not enemies, admitted his recklessness, and declared he would leave. Secretly, he planned to return to the All-Heaven Cultivators' main camp, reveal Shu Mu's true identity, destroy his reputation, and have powerful figures like Blood God hunt him down. Believing Wong Lin would not dare attack once he escaped the atmosphere with hundreds of witnesses watching, Wong Lin sneered, understood his intentions, raised his right hand, and rang the bell within his body. The phantom of the ancient god furnace appeared. And Wong Lin calmly uttered, "Exchange." Instantly, ghostly light enveloped the fleeing boy. And he was suddenly switched with Wong Lin, appearing where Wong Lin had stood while Wong Lin took his place. Wong Lin declared that the boy could not escape and steadily approached him. Overwhelmed by despair, the big-headed boy felt Wong Lin like an irresistible giant. Refusing to surrender, he retreated, formed seals, and chanted in an ancient language. Numerous translucent runes appeared but entered his own body instead of attacking Wong Lin. Wong Lin's confidence made the boy feel that all his spells and treasures were meaningless, while the unused thunder spell filled him with even greater fear. Nevertheless, he activated his strongest celestial spell for one final struggle. As the runes entered his body, all his essence flowed toward his head. His already oversized head became grotesquely enormous while his body shrank into a skeletal form. Thick veins bulged across his head like living worms. All his remaining hair fell out, and his appearance became terrifying. Laughing sharply, he pointed at both sides of his head and unleashed the celestial spell. Tendon displacement. Countless bulging veins burst from his head, transformed into green snakes, fused together, and extended like a giant pillar toward Wong Lin. Wong Lin remained calm. He deliberately refrained from using his strongest techniques because he had another purpose for the big-headed boy. His powerful spells were still difficult to control at his current cultivation. And the boy was one of the 36 heaven celestials. Wong Lin was not yet prepared to completely sever ties with the all-heaven star system. Killing an ordinary cultivator was one thing, but killing a heaven celestial near planet Suzaku in front of hundreds of witnesses would be unwise. Even so, since the boy had provoked him, Wong Lin had no intention of letting him go and had already devised a perfect way to deal with the situation. The big-headed boy's eyes shone with a desperate, beast-like ferocity as he fought for his life. His life had been tragic from birth. Born with an abnormally large head and a tiny body, he was constantly mocked by other children. He was also slow-witted and always wore a foolish smile. His mother despised him and ignored him, leaving him to endure bullying and abuse throughout his childhood. Unable to cultivate because of his poor talent, he was expelled from his family at the age of 15. 500 years later, he returned with the same foolish smile but had unexpectedly reached the ascendant stage. Shocking his clan, he was accepted back and eventually cultivated to the peak of the corporeal yang stage after thousands of years. However, the suffering of his childhood had twisted his personality, and during those millennia he secretly tortured and murdered countless men and women. Extremely cautious, he always erased every trace of his crimes. But 30 years earlier, his family's early Nirvana scryer ancestor personally attempted to kill him. During that battle, the big-headed boy revealed that he had secretly reached the early Nirvana scryer stage decades before. He killed the ancestor but was severely wounded and disappeared until the celestial competition, where his return caused another uproar within his clan. Recalling his past, his killing intent intensified. He roared as countless tendons burst from his giant head, carrying terrifying power capable of tearing apart the world, and attacked Wong Lin. Celestial spiritual energy and demonic energy surged together as the massive flesh pillar exploded into an enormous net of tendons that surrounded Wong Lin. Wong Lin remained calm and sneered before releasing the celestial sealing stamp. It emitted a brilliant golden light as hundreds of thousands of sealing runes formed a golden vortex that swept forward. Although the tendon net wrapped around the vortex, the golden runes shattered it. Every rune became a powerful seal, and those that had previously sealed origin souls were even more formidable, creating deafening explosions and seals 100 times stronger than ordinary ones. In an instant, the golden light completely sealed the big-headed boy. He roared and struggled violently, causing the runes to begin collapsing. But Wong Lin immediately acted. Taking 2 steps, Wong Lin used spatial bending to instantly appear beside him, forming a sword with 2 fingers. He merged his domain into the attack, manifesting black and white yin and yang energy. The golden runes parted, allowing Wong Lin to press his fingers directly between the big-headed boy's eyebrows. Terrified, the big-headed boy tried to retreat but was far too slow. Black and white energy erupted inside his body, shrinking his enormous head and retracting all the tendons. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, but every drop transformed into a deadly attack containing immense celestial spiritual energy capable of destroying Wong Lin's body. Wong Lin did not dodge and calmly uttered, Bind. With his Nirvana Scryer cultivation, the bind spell was far stronger than before. At the same time, the celestial bead left behind by Qing Shui spun rapidly, releasing a trace of celestial origin energy that elevated the spell to an unprecedented level. Instantly, all the blood froze in midair, and even the fleeing big-headed boy became completely immobilized with fear in his eyes. Wong Lin calmly bypassed the suspended blood and struck the space between the big-headed boy's eyebrows once more, sending him flying as popping sounds echoed throughout his body. Before the bind spell wore off, Wong Lin pursued him again. At that moment, numerous rays of sword energy descended as hundreds of powerful all-heaven cultivators, sensing something unusual, arrived at planet Suzaku. Their overwhelming presence shocked all the cultivators on the planet. Upon seeing Wong Lin and the big-headed boy, every all-heaven cultivator's expression changed dramatically. Wong Lin ignored them, took out the heaven tiger flag symbolizing his status as a thunder celestial, and threw it into the sky. A fierce tiger roar erupted as purple energy transformed into a tiger that roared toward the arriving cultivators. Wong Lin declared that he was merely sparring and ordered everyone to wait outside, warning that anyone who disobeyed would be killed. Without looking back, he struck the big-headed boy between the eyebrows again, smashing him mercilessly into the ground and creating a massive crater that shook the earth. Realizing that the battle involved two celestial title holders, the wiser all-heaven cultivators immediately retreated, followed by everyone else, leaving planet Suzaku entirely. Witnessing this, the cultivators of planet Suzaku understood that Wong Lin possessed an extraordinarily high status among the all-heaven cultivators. Wong Lin landed beside the crater. After the bind spell ended, the big-headed boy lay covered in blood, pale and trembling with genuine terror. Wong Lin silently raised his hand, causing thunderclouds to gather across the sky as countless bolts of lightning converged into a crackling sphere of thunder in his palm, with arcs of electricity constantly escaping from it. Seeing the thunder, the big-headed boy remembered the terrifying scene from One Line Heaven and became completely terrified. He begged Wong Lin for mercy, admitting that his 2,000 years of cultivation had not been easy and promising to fulfill any request as long as he was spared. He realized that Wong Lin had not used his strongest techniques and had not truly intended to kill him. Wong Lin calmly replied that he needed a servant. The big-headed boy answered that after entering the celestial pool, he had lost his domain and could no longer offer his Tao ideal. Wong Lin said it did not matter because he possessed a spell that would not harm him if he willingly accepted it. But if he resisted, the spell would collapse and kill him. Wong Lin formed a strange rune with his right hand as celestial origin energy flowed from the celestial bead within his body, creating a dark golden rune. The Jade Inheritance of Celestial Emperor Qing Lin contained not only the method for refining celestial guards but also techniques for controlling others. Previously, Wong Lin had found these techniques much weaker than described, including the slave imprint used on Li Yuan. Only after obtaining celestial origin energy did he understand that these sealing techniques were meant to be used by true celestials. And without celestial origin they could never display their real power. The dark golden rune entered the space between the big-headed boy's eyebrows. At that instant, Wong Lin sensed that a single thought from him would be enough to kill the big-headed boy. As he reflected on this feeling, he understood the difference between this sealing method and the celestial guard technique. Celestial Emperor Qing Lin had created the Celestial Guard spell based on these sealing techniques. The Celestial Guards imitated ancient gods and emphasized strengthening the physical body, with spells as a secondary aspect. Once successfully refined, they would never betray their master unless the master released them. In contrast, the sealing spell was used to control servants, but because it was still a spell, it could never be perfect. Over time, flaws could appear that allowed the seal to be broken. Wong Lin understood this well. When the seal entered the space between the big-headed boy's eyebrows, his body trembled, all the celestial origin energy in his body activated, and an identical seal appeared on his origin soul. The big-headed boy sighed bitterly, stood up, and respectfully greeted Wong Lin as his master. Wong Lin ordered him to leave the planet, dismiss all the all-heaven cultivators, and then return to remain there. The big-headed boy obeyed immediately, flew into the sky, and carried out the command. Looking at the familiar land around him, Wong Lin was overwhelmed with nostalgia. Returning home after hundreds of years filled him with indescribable melancholy. Countless memories resurfaced, and he wondered how many old friends were still alive. Ta Shan emerged from Wong Lin's shadow and silently stood beside him while Wong Lin quietly gazed at his homeland. Soon the big-headed boy returned and stood behind him. At the same time, several rays of light approached, with Zhou Wutai and Yun Quezi arriving first. Before they could meet him, Wong Lin disappeared, leaving only a divine sense message in their minds. I want some quiet. The gentle divine sense deeply shocked both Zhou Wutai and Yun Quezi. Zhou Wutai, as the current Suzaku, quickly suppressed his emotions, but he was filled with respect after realizing how unimaginable Wong Lin's cultivation had become. Yun Quezi was even more emotional, recalling the young man who had once paid for his drinks, their battles with Zhu Quezi, and the wars involving the Forsaken Immortal clan and Suzaku. Those once important events now seemed insignificant. Understanding Wong Lin's melancholy, both men concealed the news of his return, so only the cultivators who had awakened early knew he had come back. Several days later, Wong Lin slowly walked along a winding road beneath the setting sun. His lonely figure stretched across the ground, making him appear like an old wanderer returning home after countless years rather than a young man. Ta Shan faithfully followed him, ready to eliminate anyone hostile toward Wong Lin, while the big-headed boy silently struggled with his own complicated thoughts. As Wong Lin walked, he found everything both unfamiliar and faintly recognizable. The once small country road had changed greatly over the centuries. His melancholy deepened until he finally saw a huge bustling city ahead. Above its gate hung a plaque bearing the words, Wong Ancestral City. Stopping outside the city, Wong Lin was overcome by memories of his hometown and his parents. The city had changed completely from what he remembered. While he stood there, a convoy of ordinary carriages arrived. Several horsemen led the procession, while a white-haired old man with sharp, lightning-like eyes drove one of the carriages, revealing himself as a martial arts expert. As he passed Wong Lin, he casually glanced at Wong Lin's group before continuing onward. Wong Lin followed the convoy toward the city gate. Guards were checking road passes, but none of them noticed Wong Lin, Ta Shan, or the big-headed boy as they entered. Inside, the streets were crowded with pedestrians and lined with lively shops. Yet everything felt unfamiliar to Wong Lin. He eventually stopped before a shop. Through blurred vision, he remembered that an old locust tree had once stood there with a blue stone beneath it. As a youth, he had often sat there reading his books. He also remembered sitting beneath that tree after fourth uncle had given him the chance to cultivate. Wondering what the world beyond his hometown was like. Hundreds of years had passed in an instant. Although insignificant to cultivators, they had allowed countless mortal generations to come and go. Because Wong Lin remained standing there for so long, a waiter came out intending to drive him away. However, after noticing Ta Shan's enormous figure and the terrifying appearance of the big-headed boy, the waiter became frightened. Gathering his courage, he asked Wong Lin whether he intended to buy jade or leave. Wong Lin gently asked whether there had once been an old locust tree there. The waiter replied that he had grown up in Wong Ancestral City and had never seen such a tree. Wong Lin's sadness deepened as he continued walking through the city. After he left, the waiter returned inside. At that moment, the elderly shopkeeper emerged with the support of a servant. After hearing what had happened, the old man recalled that when he had been a child, his elders had indeed spoken of an old locust tree that once stood there long ago. The waiter was surprised but paid little attention to the story. Wong Lin continued walking through streets where nothing remained familiar. The strangeness around him weighed heavily on his heart. Then, suddenly, his body trembled. The emotional barrier within his 1,000 years of cultivation seemed ready to collapse. Ahead, about 1,000 feet away, he saw an area enclosed by stone walls. Soldiers constantly patrolled the perimeter, while more than a dozen cultivators guarded the surroundings, making it clear that it was the most important place in the city. Inside the walls, however, everything was different. Several old houses remained exactly as Wong Lin remembered them, giving him a powerful sense of familiarity. There was also a grave that had been built later. Whenever the soldiers looked inside the walls, their expressions were filled with heartfelt respect. Wong Lin stepped through the wall and entered the Wong ancestral home as night fell. He knelt before his parents' tomb, tears streaming down his face, and softly said, "Dad, Mom, Tai Zhu is back." He remained kneeling for a long time, overwhelmed by longing and sorrow. Ta Shan stood silently nearby, while the big-headed boy realized this was Shu Emu's ancestral home and, for the first time, reflected on his own tragic childhood. After rising, Wong Lin looked at the old houses and entered the courtyard. Everything remained unchanged except the people were gone. As he walked through the home, memories from 1,000 years ago resurfaced. He seemed to hear his parents encouraging him to study hard, urging him to succeed in the imperial examinations, and reminding him to repay his fourth uncle for helping the family. Every familiar object deepened his grief and longing. Leaving Ta Shan and the big-headed boy outside, Wong Lin stayed alone inside the ancestral house. He completely forgot the cultivation world as he immersed himself in memories of his happy childhood and the love of his parents. Throughout the silent night, he smiled at joyful memories and shed tears over painful ones. His happiness was lonely, and his smiles were filled with quiet sadness as tears fell onto the floor like traces of the past. At dawn, sunlight entered the house, awakening Wong Lin from his reminiscence. Ta Shan had stood guard without moving the entire night. The big-headed boy had also spent the night recalling his painful childhood, but unexpectedly found those memories less painful than before, especially those involving his mother who had always despised him. As Wong Lin's group made no attempt to hide themselves, soldiers guarding the ancestral grounds quickly discovered them. The guards surrounded the area with killing intent, and more than 10 cultivators ranging from foundation establishment to soul formation arrived, locking onto the three with their divine senses. An angry voice accused them of trespassing into the Wang ancestral home, a crime punishable even by the extermination of one's entire family. A soul formation elder declared that only members of the Wang family were allowed to enter. Ignoring the threats, Wong Lin calmly asked who had built the tomb. His voice carried overwhelming heavenly might, forcing the cultivators into fear. The soul formation elder nearly collapsed under the pressure and answered that the mortal royal family had built the tomb because it was the ancestral home of the Wang family and the childhood home of planet Suzaku's ancestor. After hearing the answer, Wong Lin silently looked at his parents' grave and prepared to leave. At that moment, dark clouds rolled in, and an early soul transformation cultivator from the Zan Dao sect appeared, angrily declaring that his sect had guarded the Wang ancestral home for generations and would not tolerate intruders. Instead of responding with hostility, Wong Lin asked whether the country of Zhao had reached rank 5. The old man answered that Zhao had become a rank 5 cultivation country 300 years earlier. Though he found Wong Lin strangely familiar, Wong Lin was pleased to learn Zhao had advanced from rank 3 to rank 5 after his departure. Looking more carefully at the old man, Wong Lin sensed a faint aura that belonged to himself and remembered leaving behind 10 spirit seeds when he reached soul formation in Zhao. The old man was one of the recipients. Wong Lin then asked whether the Zan Dao sect had always guarded the ancestral home. The old man explained that every sect on planet Suzaku took turns protecting the site, sending either highly respected elders or exceptionally talented disciples because guarding the Wang ancestral home was considered a great honor. After confirming the sincerity of the old man's words and observing the talents of the gathered cultivators, Wong Lin was deeply moved. He thanked everyone and waved his sleeve, sending origin energy into crystal fragments that entered every cultivator and even the injured guards. All of them immediately felt tremendous benefits flowing through their bodies. Wong Lin praised the soul transformation elder, saying that gifting him a spirit seed back then had not been in vain. He then left with Ta Shan and the big-headed boy, disappearing into the horizon. The old man suddenly realized Wong Lin's identity when he heard the words, "spirit seed." Trembling with excitement, he shouted that the visitor was the Wang family ancestor. The surrounding cultivators were stunned before erupting in excitement as they realized they had just met Wong Lin, the guardian of planet Suzaku and the greatest cultivator in its history.